It is January the 9th, 2024, and it is 6:01. I would like to call this meeting to order via resolution 2024-01. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Morton and Councillor Grant. And so therefore the January 9th regular meeting of council be called to order at 6:01 p.m. and noted we have quorum. The next resolution is resolution number 2. Of course, resolutions start their number each year, so this is the second one of the year. This is a motion to suspend the procedural bylaw. I need a mover and a seconder. I can move. Councillor Grant, Councillor Morton. Therefore, be it resolved that the procedural bylaw be suspended for the duration of this meeting. All of those in favor? And I'm in favor as well, so that is carried. Next item is declarations of disqualifying pecuniary or conflict of interest. Are there any disclosures? No, so no disclosures. Next item 2403 is to approve the agenda as circulated. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Morton, Councillor Grant. Sure. Okay. So therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin hereby approves the agenda as circulated. All those in favor? And I'm in favor as well, so that motion is carried.
Good to get Councillor Latimer's name in for somewhere.
Yes.
Confuses.
Next resolution is 2024-04, which is a resolution to approve the meeting minutes of December the 12th. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Latimer. Oh, there has moved that and seconded by
I'll second.
Grant. Councillor Grant. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin approves the regular open meeting minutes of December the 12th, 2023, and they're hereby adopted and signed as circulated. Any discussion on minutes? None? Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
I'm in favor also, that is carried. The next, we have no delegations tonight. So the next resolution is 2024-4B, which is just to say we've received the consent agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Latimer. And seconded by Councillor Morton. So therefore be it resolved that the Corporation of Council of the Municipality of Calvin hereby receive the consent agenda items as circulated, less any items requested for separate review and discussion. All those in favor? Aye, and I am as well. So that is carried. The consent agenda is available to the public as it is on our website, and there are some interesting articles in there, just not to be dealt with tonight at the meeting. The next item on the agenda is 2024-05. This is a temporary borrowing bylaw. It's done. We did it last January, and what it allows to happen is that the CAO and the mayor can bring forth a borrowing agreement with the Bank of Nova Scotia to bridge any financial needs prior to the receipt of tax revenue. So I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Morton, seconded by Latimer. And any discussion on the borrowing bylaw? None?
Do it every year.
We do it every year. None? All right, so I'll call that to a vote. All those in favor of resolution 2024-05, which is bylaw 2024-01. I need a
Resolution.
Oh, okay. So the resolution is, whereas the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Section 25, or sorry, C25, Section 407, as amended from time to time, provides authority for the municipality to authorize the treasurer to borrow from time to time such sums as the council considers necessary to meet, until taxes are collected and other revenues are received, the current expenditure of the municipality for the year. And whereas the total amount which may be borrowed from all sources at any one time to meet the current expenditures of the municipality, except with the approval of the Ontario Land Tribunal, is limited by Section 407 of the Municipal Act 2001. Should the council of the Corporation of Calvin necessary to borrow funds to meet obligations until the taxes are collected and other revenues are received. Therefore, be it resolved that the council hereby will approve this 2024-01 by being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and CAO clerk treasurer to borrow, sign, and apply payments on behalf of the municipality of the Corporation of Calvin Township from time to time by way as specifically indicated in on the 2024 temporary borrowing bylaw. So this is to be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed tonight. Now, is there any discussion on this final? Yes.
Why are we doing it all in one night? Is there exigency to the need?
Our CAO has talked to municipal affairs, and where you're dealing with certain bylaws require them to be split into two different meetings.
This is not one of them.
This is not one of them.
Thank you.
And Donna, do you have any comment on that as well?
No, as Bill stated at the beginning, this is an annual bylaw that's passed. It's not any different than every other year since the municipalities existed in passing these bylaws, and it exists in the way it is presented tonight for all municipalities in Ontario.
All right, any other discussion? Does that answer your question, Bill?
Oh, yeah, no, it's just, that's one of the things people have complained about ramming bylaws through 1, 2, 3 and no discussion. And if this is not one of them, then I'm not a problem.
All right.
Problem.
I appreciate that. I just appreciate Bill's comment, and it's procedural, I think, in nature, so we can move forward.
All right. So I'll call this to a vote. All those in favor of this resolution and bylaw? And yeah, I agree as well.
I just have a comment, Bill. If there are complaints from the public, they should be submitting public complaint forms so that we can address them appropriately.
So,
So the next one is similar.
yeah, I know. That's also
The next one is resolution 2024-06, which is the interim tax rates. I need to move her to seconder. Okay, Councillor Morton. Seconder,
I can second.
Councillor Grant. All right, so this, the interim tax rates, of course, are listed in the bylaw. And this is just to allow us to move forward collecting the interim taxes, which is half of last year's tax rate. Is there any discussion on this? None? No?
None.
So bylaw 2024-02 interim tax rates 2024, whereas section 317 of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25 as amended provides that the council of the local municipality may, before the adoption of the estimates for the year, pass a bylaw levying amounts as specified in the bylaw on the assessment of property of the local municipal rateable for local municipality purposes. And whereas section 317 of the Municipal Act as amended provides that the amount to be levied under the subsection is restricted in that the amount levied on a property shall not exceed 50% of the total amount of the taxes for municipal and school purposes levied on the property for the previous year. And where section 317 of the Municipal Act as amended, provides that the amounts levied under section 317 shall be levied on the assessment according to the preliminary assessment roll provided by the Assessment Corporation for that purpose. And whereas under section 350 of the Municipal Act, as amended, provides that where taxes are owed in respect of any land occupied by a tenant, the treasurer may give the tenant notice in writing requiring the tenant to pay the rent in respect to the land to the treasurer as it becomes due upon the amount of the taxes due and the unpaid plus costs and the tenant with such notice. And finally, whereas the municipality of Calvin deems it necessary to provide such interim levy on the assessment of property in the municipality, therefore be it resolved that the council hereby approve this 2024-02 bylaw being a bylaw to provide interim tax rates for the year 2024 to be read first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council on this 9th day of January 2024. Any discussion? Last discussion? None? I will then call this to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, so that is carried. I agree as well. So that is carried. You know what? I haven't signed the bylaw. We'll get that up. Yeah. All right, so the next item on the agenda is 2024-07. This is MPAC. The I had this wrong.
Point 3, 07, correct?
Okay.
It's your tax rates.
Yeah,
tax Okay, so these are the, oh, yes. So is the resolution number 07?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So resolution 2024-07. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Morton. Second. Councillor Grant. So these are the tax rates currently which have been set aside by MPAC in research with our staff.
The treasurer.
The treasurer, yes, of course.
And Richard, I'm sorry, Mayor Gould, it is the Minister of Finance, if you read the bylaw.
I thought MPAC was the one who decided.
And whereas the property classes have been prescribed by the Minister of Finance under the Assessment Act, RSO 1990.
Okay, and reading the rest. So the resolution is tax rates where the Corporation of Municipality of Calvin is required to establish tax ratios pursuant to section 308 of the Municipal Act as amended, therein referred to as the Act. And whereas the tax ratios set out below establish the relative amount of taxation to be borne by each property class, and whereas the property classes have been prescribed by the Minister of Finance, thank you, CAO, under the Assessment Act RSO 1990. Therefore, be it resolved that the council will approve the 2024-03 bylaw, being a bylaw to set tax ratios for the municipality of Calvin for the year 2024 to be read for a second and third time and finally passed. Any discussion? None?
Sound like we can change anything.
No, I just said, I think you might have said rate. And it just in the beginning and they're ratios.
Oh, did I say rate?
I think you did. I just don't want any
Yeah, no,
public
they're
to be
ratio.
confused, with that term rate. It's a ratio.
These ratios haven't changed since last year or the year before either, have they? It's the same ratios. Am I correct?
Correct.
Any discussion?
Probably provincially set.
All right, so I'll call this to a vote. All those in favor of resolution 2024-07? Okay, that is unanimously carried. Time I did 7. The next item on the agenda is 2024-08. So this is, there was some questioning. Well, first of all, I need a mover and a seconder to discuss this. Okay, Councillor Grant.
Second.
And Councillor Morton. So there were some questions, and I believe they were brought up by Councillor Grant,
Yes.
regarding the contract with Tulloch and the termination agreement. So before we get into that, is there any discussion on this motion?
Just that I received, Tulloch responded to my question of termination clause, and, you know, I think it's more than reasonable that extra expenses they were referring to could simply be mileage, document searches. Basic things that I just, you know, want clarification, I didn't understand.
So this has addressed the concern.
Absolutely, for me, that's yes.
Is there discussion from anyone else regarding this motion? No? All right, then I will call this to a vote. All those in favor of resolution 2024-08? Oh, do you think that, oh, it's a bylaw, yes.
That bylaw.
All right, so before we call it to a vote, council for the Corporation Municipality of Calvin has received clarification and details with respect to additional costs as requested by resolution 2023-331 on December 12th, 2023 at a regular council meeting, and accept the client consultant agreement between the Township of Calvin and Tulloch Engineering Planning Services as outlined in the attached memorandum. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Calvin ratifies the attached agreement inclusive as follows: to enter into an agreement with Tulloch Engineering to be presented for adoption on this 9th day of January by bylaw 2024-04, that the mayor and clerk are designated as signing officers and are authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin. This agreement shall be enacted and in effect upon the signing thereof. So all those in favor? And that I am in favor as well, so that is carried. Next item on the agenda is 2024-09. This is the rezoning of the lot as per our bylaw. I need a mover and a seconder to discuss this. Councillor Moore. And seconded by Councillor Latimer. Now, before we get into discussion on this issue, are there any members of the public present today who wish to provide comment to this agenda item? Great idea. And nothing else? All right, then I should also mention that we have received one written submission from the Mattawa Conservation Authority who identified no issues with approving the rezoning of this property. And we have received one from resident Matt Bridgen. More than providing comments about this particular request to rezone this particular property, Mr. Bridgen has made a number of comments relating to Calvin bylaws, including planning documents for council consideration. Members of council are in receipt of both submissions as part of this agenda package, which is also published on the World Wide Web for the general public. So I deferred response to the receipt of Mr. Bridgen's submissions to Mackenzie, who has joined us virtually today. So representing our engineering firm of record, Tulloch Engineering, as they have expertise required to do so. So, and Mackenzie has a copy of the submission. So welcome, Mackenzie. Do you have any comment at this point?
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. So there were a few comments that I think I can address, and then there are a few comments I think are maybe more appropriately addressed by yourself. So the public comment starts off by questioning whether this rezoning is going to restrict services or impact safety now or in the future. In the last meeting, my land use report notes that the zoning does not prevent these properties from being serviced in the future if council wishes. The zoning just recognizes that this property is not serviced right now. So I think that addresses that comment. The commenter also makes the point that it does not seem that the zoning change has been made equally to every property that's not currently zoned LSR in the township. My understanding is council is interested in zoning all the properties that aren't currently zoned LSR right now to zone them LSR in the future. So I think that addresses that concern. The third point of consideration is regarding taxes, and I would just suggest that zoning won't impact the level of services that this property receives. It just reflects again that it doesn't currently have municipal services. Whether this zoning change would have an impact on taxes or not, that would be a question directed towards the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC, as MPAC determines the assessed value for properties in Ontario's, not municipalities. And then the fourth observations, I believe are better directed towards council. The fourth observation is asking about a plan to develop the township in the future and possibly look at turning these seasonal roads into year-round roads. And the final comment is just regarding whether it's more cost effective to turn these into permanent roads rather than go through this exercise every time somebody wants to develop. I don't have the answer to those questions. Perhaps somebody sitting on council might be able to tackle those. I'm also available to answer any other questions that council might have.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Does anyone on council wish to comment at this point?
At this point, I mean, I'll just give my comments. I think that, you know, there's a lengthy letter there. I think there's some interesting points brought up. And just one of the, just because I know the answer to one of the things that Mackenzie had mentioned on whether or not MPAC assesses these properties in a different way. And I know the answer is that they do not. They do not consider whether it's limited service rule or rule when they assess value as well. So I just think that was just an interesting point that the answer to, but I don't have anything further at this exact time.
Councillor Latimer or Morton, any comments? Mackenzie, as you mentioned, the last point is about development of the township and what we're going to do in the future. And I think everybody on council will agree that one thing we have to do is revamp our master plan. And that master plan deals with things like development and growth in the township. And I think that has to be done looking at all the facts that are available to us. Talking to Tulloch Engineering about some of the costs involved, but also looking at some of the benefits and coming up with a master plan that makes sense for the township. Certainly not something that we can do tonight, unless you could all stay till 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then maybe we'll have some basic ideas. But probably not, because we don't have the data that we need at this point in time. But I think I'm willing to commit that council is willing to look at a future plan that does deal with these issues, and it's certainly on the agenda. Excuse the pun. Any other comments? Sorry, go ahead.
I agree with your your comment, and it's a complex issue. Certainly can't be discussed, and it has a lot of different factors that play into these rezonings and the things that go with the rezoning to rural services or whatever it's called. I think it has to be perhaps maybe a meeting, a day-long meeting to really kind of debate these things and what's best for the township, what's best for the taxpayers. It is an issue that's not going away. So yes, we need to deal with it, but certainly not in this limited time.
And I agree with you, Councillor Latimer, and I think a day-long meeting isn't even gonna do it. I think you're talking a couple of meetings of gathering information.
Yes.
And then coming to some concrete decisions. So it'll probably take a while to do, but it is something that we have to do. And we should do, and we will do. All right,
Sorry, I just had my hand raised. I don't know if you could see it there. And just to Mackenzie's point, at the last council meeting, we did bring forward, because as staff, CEO, have identified a number of properties that are not designated LSR in the current plan that were missed by previous plans. And we did bring forward in the last meeting that they should all be, for council consideration, that they should all be dealt with at the same time. And it was council's desire to not move forward in that fashion and to only deal with this one at this time. So just wanted to make sure that that point was made.
just a point of clarification. I think we agreed in that meeting that due to expediency, we should do this one LSR, but that we also agreed that the other ones should be done in the future. Is that your understanding as well? Did we not agree, Mackenzie, that we would look at doing these other ones at a future date?
That was my understanding.
So that was agreed in council, that we would move forward on doing all of the LSRs that needed to be done in the township. We weren't gonna do it all at once because Latimer Lane, they're looking for a building permit and moving things forward as quickly as possible. So we wanted to get that one done, and then we'll do the other ones in the future.
No, I believe Councillor Manson, who's not here tonight, was, I believe he asked a question on how many properties and where, anyway, there's just some more questions around the rest of them.
Right,
There was a desire to move forward, but there's maybe some clarification.
that makes sense.
I'll just say we're on it, and nothing in Mr. Bridgen's report is anything that's news to us. We've already discussed every one of these issues, so good stuff.
So this resolution is simply a resolution to amend the zoning bylaw 2022-019. Whereas pursuant to the provisions of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, section 34, the council of the municipality may enact bylaws regulating the use of land and the erection of buildings and structures thereon. And whereas by bylaw 2022-019 regulates the use of land and the character, location, and use of buildings and structures in the municipality of Calvin, therefore be it resolved, the council deem it advisable to amend bylaw 2022-019 to rezone certain lands from rural to limited service rural, and hereby will approve this 2024-05 bylaw being a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw, changing the zoning and a portion of the subject property from rural to limited service LSR as highlighted in Schedule A, which is attached hereto and forms part of this bylaw, to be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council on this 9th day of January. So any last discussion? None? All right, I'm going to call this to a vote. All those in favor? All right, so that is carried. Just as a point of order, Councillor Morton, I know that the first, second, and third thing just irks you every time. And for a while, I mean, we've gone through numerous changes. For a while, we just simply left that part out and just said, pass this bylaw. And there is no perfect way of doing things. I'm not sure that this is the perfect way, but it's the way we've just inherited, I guess. And
Sorry, Mayor Gould, I want to correct you on that. It's not the way you've inherited. It's the way that we have verified with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, and they have told us that this is the way that we can do it.
all right, thank you very much.
Can do it.
Didn't say we should, but they said we can't.
Okay, so we could carry this out until March then, if that's the will.
Yeah. And there is the balance between expediency and, good governance. And I think, I mean, if we're doing something on the landfill, and of course, this last bylaw was published in the newspaper and published in the township office ahead of time. So it has had
Time
previous,
for people commented, yes.
yes,
And we have had comment.
right.
That's why I didn't say anything.
Well, let's find that balance. I think we're gonna find that balance. 'Cause I do agree with Bill. These things are, you know,
And I do,
balance.
yeah, and if I can add a little bit later down, we're going to talk about the meeting date that you already agreed to, a council training session with municipal affairs. And that's where you can pose this question to hear the official word as I just relayed it. So we can have that discussion during that training session also for council, which is an open meeting, by the way, but we'll get there later.
All right. So resolution 2024-10. This is to approve the severance application of Tamara Silverstone, which is attached to the resolution. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Morton and Councillor Grant. So I don't need to resolution in its entirety. Yeah, I still should, even though there's no bylaw attached. Okay. All right, I'll read the resolution and then see if there's discussion after the resolution's been read. Now therefore be it resolved that whereas an application for consent number 2023-019 in the name of Tamara Silverthorne has been filed with the East Nipissing Planning Board on land known as 22 Latimer Lane, concession 7, lot 33 to lot 34, parcel 14-136, municipality of Calvin, for the purpose of creating one residential lot of approximately 100 acres. Now therefore, the Council of the Municipality of Calvin resolves that it is recommended that the East Nipissing Planning Board give a provisional consent to this application, and a copy of the completed survey for the residential lot and right of way shall be provided to the municipality in both digital and hard copy. For point of clarity, this will be going before the planning board tomorrow, should it be approved here today. So any discussion on this?
I do have a question.
Okay.
I'm just interested in, maybe Donna can comment or on our second provision on the surveys. I was wondering, do we keep copies of surveys in the office? Like, is this a common practice for all properties? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so these recommendations come to us from the East Nipissing Planning Board. So they will actually, the East Nipissing Planning Board has recommended that you consider these two options. And yes, our practice, since Teresa and I are in the office, is that we do file these with the property file. Past practice can't tell you for sure that that's occurred, but the practice is that when we receive it, we are filing it with the physical property file.
All right, I was just questioning, but I haven't seen that. I don't believe I've seen that condition on the municipal side of it. I think, the East Nipissing requires that, but I was just
Yeah.
curious.
We're not asking them to do anything additionally, though. I mean, they have to do that for the East Nipissing Planning Board.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm requiring it if we were, I just want some clarification.
Sure.
Yeah, no, Dean, I respect that. And yeah, so this is coming to us from East Nipissing Planning Board as a recommendation that we receive a copy of that and a provisional. So it's provisional consent approval. And once they provide these to us, then we will give a copy to East Nipissing Planning Board, and it will be filed in the file.
All right. Any other question? Any other discussion? Yes, no? No. All right, then I'll call this to a vote. All those in favor of passing resolution 2024-10? I'm in favor. Dean, you're not?
I have been.
Oh, you are? So that is carried. Next item on the agenda is 2024-11. To repeal a bylaw. I need a mover and a seconder to discuss this issue. Councillor Morton and seconded by Councillor Latimer. So don't know if anybody needs any clarification, but this is an old bylaw on the records. And we're just updating it with a new bylaw. I'll read the resolution and bylaw. Bylaw 2024-06 to repeal bylaw 2022-041 being a bylaw to enter into a shared building official building inspector property standards bylaw officer agreement. Whereas the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin acknowledges that bylaw 2022-041 is no longer in force or applicable, and that a revised agreement is in place and will consider and will the state. Therefore, now be it resolved that the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin hereby resolve that bylaw 2022-041 is rescinded, and the bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CAO clerk treasurer and sealed with the seal. Any discussion? Favor? And that is unanimously carried. Copy this? So this is further to that discussion. This is the final agreement bylaw between Papineau Cameron, Calvin, Matawan, and Bonfield for a building official. I need a mover and a seconder for this resolution. Councillor Morton. And seconded by Councillor Latimer. Whereas the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin has received the final agreement bylaw 2023-045 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Papineau Cameron, the Corporation of the Township of the Municipality of Calvin, the Corporation of the Municipality of Matawan, and the Corporation of the Township of Bonfield for a chief building official to enforce the Building Code Act. And therefore now be it resolved that the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin ratifies the attached agreement for the period of December the 12th, 2023 until December the 13th, 2027 inclusive as follows. And that the mayor and clerk are designated as the signing officers and are authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin. This agreement shall be enacted and in effect upon the signing thereof. So discussion. No? Councillor Latimer, Grant? No? All right, then I will call that to a vote. All those in favor? And that is carried.
Oh, Mayor Gould, can I interrupt for 1 second, just in case I can't see if Mackenzie has left, but maybe if she has not, we can excuse her from the meeting now. I can't see if she's left or not, as her time
Yes,
here is now.
Yes, she left after that resolution was passed.
Okay, sorry, I just can't see who's in attendance. Okay.
Thank you. I have to sign that. Very cool. Finger don't work. Here we go. I don't know if that's gonna work, but we have it signed.
Thank you.
Resolution,
We have a quorum.
okay,
Just got a lot through.
resolution 2024-13. This is the agreement between the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority and the municipality of Calvin. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Morgan,
I can second.
Councillor Grant. So the Council of the Corporation of Municipality of Calvin hereby has received the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority agreement of services to enter into an agreement with the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority to be presented for adoption and passed January the 9th at the 2024 regular meeting of council. But therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin ratifies the attached agreement inclusive as follows: to enter into an agreement with the NBMCA be presented for adoption on this 9th day of January the 24th by bylaw 2024-07, and that the mayor and clerk are designated as signing officers and are authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the Corporation of Municipality of Calvin. This agreement shall be enacted in effect upon the signing thereof. Discussion. Yes.
I have a question. I don't know if someone was ahead of me or not, but does this agreement include, we're agreeing to fund, I think it's tier 3 expenses, which the Conservation Authority can't levy without permission. We have to agree to it. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we're agreeing to fund the ski hill in North Bay and whatever else, no?
No, this is the basic services that they are mandated to provide to us, and anything, as you said, Councillor Morton, Councillor Latimer, in addition, as the ski hill will come to us as a separate request,
Okay,
as the ski hill would, yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay,
I
Councillor
do have some comments on this one. And you know, clarify me if I don't have anything right. But it's not very often that the province gives us an opportunity to have more choice. You know, typically they force us to make decisions. And my understanding is that the province is given an opportunity for us to negotiate these, I guess they're category 2 and category 3 services within the Conservation Authority. Now, it's not, I don't have a particular issue with, I don't have any specific issues with those services, but where I'm wondering if we can't make an improvement here is the way I read this is number 6. This that's effective the date continue for 4 years. Therefore, this MOU shall continue for an additional 4 years unless either party provides written notice of termination to the other party at least 60 days prior to expiry of the initial term, as the case may be. And I just wonder, I really, one of the first things I read in any of these things we want to sign is a termination clause. And I'm wondering if this is a reasonable, I don't want to say termination clause, but if at any point in the future we decide, wait a minute, you know, we're under a lot of financial pressure, maybe we don't want a category 2 or category 3 service, that you know, I'm not super familiar with these services as it is. I don't want to have to lock us in for 4 years, sign an agreement where, you know, the province is giving us a choice to potentially negotiate these services separately, and then we're signing in for 4 years with no reasonable termination. So, not to throw a wrench into the resolution, I just wonder if we can't have a more agreeable to our council, if anybody agrees with me, called a termination clause or an exit to where we can, you know, at any time, it may be written at any time with 60 days notice or something, or, you know, that we could reconsider some of these services.
If I may, your worship. So when I met with the new manager for the Mattawa Conservation Authority, the change in wording comes as a result of the province insisting that the change in wording take place. So before, we didn't have a breakdown of what the services were as outlined in today's budget. That's the change that's come forward to us in this current bylaw, in that the Ontario government has directed all conservation authorities in these agreements to better spell out what those services are mandated to the conservation authorities to provide to, not that I disagree with you, but I just want to tell you that that's why they're there now, is because the Ontario government has said that these services must be better laid out in the agreements to outline what we are and should expect to receive as those mandatory services.
And so, maybe I don't have this right, but my understanding is there's a, you know, I had a different understanding that there was an opportunity for us to, actually, not necessarily opt out, but negotiate these services on an individual municipality by municipality basis.
There
And
is, based on our previous meetings that I've been at, there was a place down around Aurelia that opted out on the one of the services, and that's what started some of this. But they took on full responsibility for that option. There was no, it's like 50% or 60%. It's either you do it or they do it, nothing in the middle. And it's significant that it'd be like us dropping out of the floodplain thing. And, or, you know, any of the things that they provide for us. Like the water quality and they have people that go around, biologists that go around and check for significant animals and stuff like that. Like, we don't have the capability of doing any, most of those things in the chart. I'll bring it to the next meeting that they provided to us. These are the level 1, these are the level 2, these are the level 3. You have the option, the level 1s we have to pay for, the level 2s are negotiable, the number of 3s, you might not even want to do it. As Robert, our Councillor Latimer mentioned, the ski hill. We didn't pay last year. Out of the 9 group municipalities, apparently 5 of them didn't pay. They don't have the money. We're gonna be in situations like that as some of these places, which I'll be talking about later. They're talking about our levies exponentially increasing for other factors than inflation. So for some of your comments, once you see the chart, it's as much as it looks like we've got some playroom there, we don't really.
And just to further that, I don't anticipate an issue with the services. Like, I don't have the in-depth knowledge on that, but I don't anticipate the issue with the services. I just wondered, things do change, and I just tend to like to try to get a little bit more flexibility. And obviously, the conservation authorities, they're gonna want to have a clause that also gives them some stability, right, for hiring. But I just feel like we're locked in for, these 4-year terms. I don't know. I wonder if there's any benefit or not, and maybe I'm just, I get nervous on these contracts, and maybe we can get a little bit better term or something where we don't have to lock in for such a period of time, just in case we have a shared service or something. I don't anticipate it, but I don't know what other councilors think, if this is worthwhile or moving forward. But I would maybe like a little bit more information.
If I can just ask a specific question. So what is your suggestion that the continuation of the 4-year term be changed to a shorter term?
Either a shorter term, or a cancellation, clause that, allows, is more reasonable. So maybe, maybe we could do list or something on any specific, because I don't, honestly, I don't know what the category 2 and category 3 services are.
Well, they're saying 60 days right now.
They're saying 60 days from the 4-year renewal is my understanding of the wording. So really, this cannot be canceled. The only way it can be canceled is upon 60 days notice prior to the expiry of the initial term. It just seems limiting to me, and I don't know why it would have to be that limiting. And I'm not trying to, I just want to sign the best contracts because they're 4 years.
If we can defer to the CAO, she might, I'm sure, the CAO
A
conservation.
just a couple of points in response to Councillor Grant's comments and concerns. First, we do have a representative who sits at every monthly meeting. I would suggest that the time to discuss this shouldn't be when our contract is presented to us for signature at the last minute. Second, this is a shared services agreement. This is shared services with all the municipalities who form part of the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority. And we can be assured that no different than the CBO or any other shared services agreement, as Councillor Morton has said, if we were to undertake these services on our own or to contract out with another authority, that's something then that we would need to put out there and to study. And so that's what I have to say about that. That we do have a representative and that those concerns and comments this did come to us before the bylaw. We had discussed this at the last meeting with the bylaw to be prepared at this meeting, and the Conservation Authority does have a December 31st deadline for all municipalities to participate or not, or opt in or out. And so this is coming to us after we've already basically approved that we would enter into agreement at the last meeting. So maybe Councillor Morton could bring those concerns. I mean, you can delay this, but we would need to give him direction for what to bring to the meeting about why we're delaying it and what we expect to come back to next council meeting. Or when is your meeting, Councillor Morton, your next meeting, Conservation Authority?
Well, the next Conservation Authority meeting is after our next council meeting. It's always the last Wednesday of the month.
Yeah. So,
Well,
I mean, it is, council does have, it is your prerogative to delay this. I just wanted to bring those points forward. This is a shared services agreement, and we do have a member there who sits monthly where this should be brought forward before we have an agreement that's come forward to us.
I have a comment. They're probably doing a 4-year term for budgeting reasons. I questioned that too, in the same, not much wiggle room, but what other choices do we have? It's do it ourselves or sign up. And I think the do it ourselves option isn't going to work.
There's no other authority within.
I do think I have a suggestion that can help us move forward. Sure. I think I could agree to support the resolution as it is. I agree with Donna. This is why I was a little hesitant to bring a concern forward. It's likely it's not the right time to make this case. But there's nothing to say. I don't think there's anything to say that we couldn't use our representative to bring this issue to the board or do it by council, and it can likely be edited if that's the case. Sure, and you're right, at a later time, mutual discussion between us and the conservation. So what I'm saying is I'm willing to move forward, but maybe we let's get a little more information on what those categories are. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to edit this future. So
I agree with that. I think we should educate ourselves a lot more on this. I certainly need it. I don't fully understand it. And, we're dealing the new council members were dealing with other things for the past year and didn't really focus a lot on Conservation Authority, what they do and don't do. But going forward, we could benefit from some education on what the Conservation Authority provides for us and the value of it.
Very much, Councillor Latimer. What we will do is in our February meeting, the report from Morton will tell us all about the Conservation Authority and what they do.
Exactly.
Sorry, if I might, and we could also resend the package that was in the last council meeting package, which actually did outline those services.
Oh, good. So now therefore be it resolved, the Council for the Corporation of Municipality of Calvin ratifies the attached agreement inclusive as follows: to enter into an agreement with the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority be presented for adoption on this 9th day of January. That the mayor and just a question, that the mayor and clerk, should that say CAO?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just change that to the mayor and CAO are designated as the signing officers and are authorized to execute the agreement on the corporation on behalf of the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin. This agreement shall be enacted upon and in effect upon the signing thereof. All those in favor? Of that, and I'm in favor as well, so that is carried. And you may want me to re-sign this because I scribbled all over it, but anyway. The bylaw is there. The next item on the agenda is 2024-14. This is the accessibility compliance report. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Grant, and seconded by Councillor Latimer. The accessibility report, I'm going to defer to the CAO if I may, but some last minute documentation came to me that we're not in complete compliance. Is that correct?
That is
Donna?
correct. It was just, yeah, it was just erroneously omitted from the package originally, because due to timing, I had to pull it up, you know, the rationale for why we weren't in compliance. That is, it does form part of the public package also, so that, you know, it basically explains why we're not in compliance, and we haven't been for some time. However, this report is accurate in that it reports on compliance. There are a number of ways, there are a number of issues in the accessibility that we need to comply with before March, and that includes staff training on AODA, which will be completed before the end of March. This particular ministry, as all others, have been very helpful in helping us through these things as we're discovering them. There will be a cost to bringing us into compliance, whether that be for training or fixing the washroom, as you can see across the hall from you now. There's a washroom that is non-compliant, as our entranceway was non-compliant. As we know, the counter at the front desk is non-compliant. So Shane, our CBO, has actually started by completing a report for me with at my request about whether or not our buildings are compliant, so that we can identify where they're, you know, particularly where they're not, and then we'll need to go out for quotes to learn how we can bring them up to compliance. The staffing issue, I've already notified staff at an all staff meeting that they will have to undertake this training, that there's no evidence of this training having taken place in the past for staff. This is not new. We've submitted these reports on an annual basis, and they're all now uploaded onto the website so that people can see. So it's not about whether we should, it's about when we will. And I have my next report due to this ministry by March 14th to provide a report to them about when we will be in compliance and how and at what cost. So we'll be seeking either a number of grants or through budget exercise, and how we will bring the physical, at least, compliance up to snuff before too long, and while we're not in compliance today.
All right, and I see we haven't been in compliance since 2019, is that correct?
At least, I mean, if you went to the reports that were submitted in the past, you could, I won't speak to those reports and how they were completed, but 2019 is the last time, the last accessibility report plan that we had as a municipality. It expired in 2019. So there is actually a plan. Again, this is mandated, that has not been updated since it expired in 2019. So we need the plan. We also need to identify all of our physical barriers to accessibility in everywhere, every municipal building and site. So another to-do list.
And I saw that on the to-do, that if it's not completed by March, there is a possible fine that could come into place. So there is.
Correct. Yeah, so that is correct. So what I have within my control right now is the ability to get staff training before then. So staff will all be at least in compliance with the training, but as far as the reports and the plans, and we're working with them to bring us into compliance. This isn't new. It's not new, and it's not a problem that came in, you know, to your front as a result of being new council or new staff. It's, as you said, since at least 2019.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Now therefore be it resolved, that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin has received the annual accessibility compliance report submitted at year end to the CAO and will receive the CAO's report on the next steps. So any last discussion from council? No, no discussion. All those in favor of resolution 2024-14? And I'm in favor as well, so that is carried. Resolution 2024-15 is about the North Bay District. Oh, this is the group of 4.
Several,
This is the group.
not just.
Probably
Yeah.
you should read it, Mayor. If you can read it, Mayor Gould, it will spell it out. Yeah.
The Council for the Municipality of Calvin has received the following: the 2024 municipal levy package from the North Bay Perry Sound District Health Board, which includes the 2024 levy payment schedule for the municipality of Calvin, representing a 4% increase over last fiscal year. The 2024 group of 4 OPP billing figures, which include the municipality of Calvin annual cost, and 3, the 2024 MPAC municipal levy package, which includes the municipality of Calvin calculations. These levies will be included in the 2024 budget. I just need a mover and a seconder to discuss this group. Councillor Morton, and seconded by Councillor Grant. So any discussion?
Why are they all on one?
Well, we're just receiving those. This is not. We're receiving the information of those levies that are presented to council.
A little bit heads up just before we get into budget discussion, basically. What it is.
Right, just on a side note to, so the health unit has its own board, but it rotates there's 4 rural municipalities that share 1 seat. We're in that rotation, so we get a seat every 12 years, I guess. So
Is that what it is?
yeah, because I was curious, so I looked into this, and I just thought that would be interesting for you guys to know. And also, so we do have a representative too, if we want to work something through the health. No, we don't have a representative, but there is a board, and
One of the 4.
I believe it's actually, I think it's Rick Champagne.
Campaign, yeah.
Yeah, which represents the rural.
This whole.
So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I want to put that out there.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, then I'll call this to a vote. All those in favor of receiving this report, resolution 2024-15? All those in favor?
In the favor, but on the thing, it says directions. So are we supposed to be giving staff directions out of this? Or just that it's gonna be?
No, you're receiving it.
Okay.
So that is carried.
Yeah.
I'm in favor as well. Resolution 2024-16. This is a resolution to discuss training of council. I need to move her to seconder. Councillor Morton and seconded by Councillor Latimer. Okay, I'll read the resolution, but I'm sure you all have. The Council for the Municipality of Calvin invite municipal affairs representatives to lead a council training session on Friday, February the 9th from approximately 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This date chosen to ensure maximum participation for all council members, and that a copy of this motion authorizing the training session be forwarded to Sarah Cormier, our municipal advisor, Municipal Services Office, North Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Is there any discussion on this? Yeah.
Is it an open training set? Is it a closed meeting or open?
Apparently, our CAO has told me that this will be an open meeting, open to the public.
Okay, so the councilors being invited from neighboring communities.
I don't
No.
think so.
No, we discussed this at our last council meeting and council actually approved that this training take place. We just hadn't a firm date and municipal affairs needs a motion approved by council inviting them. So we discussed dates since the last meeting and you approved. We just hadn't put a motion forward and they do need a copy of the motion. And when I suggested Fridays would be the date, this is one of them, you know, many Fridays up until the end of March that they submitted to us. So no, it's council. And they will only, it's council for our municipality only, and they will only do it in open session because it's information that the public could benefit from.
Okay,
I just think I attended the same thing in Mattawa.
and yes, and that wasn't open.
So this is more than that. It's any other question that we might have, things that we've run across. You know, for example, Councillor Morton, your question today about passing bylaws, you know, 1, 2, 3 in one session. Those are all things that can come forward to municipal affairs. You know, there are many things that you've questioned and since coming on, and it's a good time, I think, you know, midway through your term almost now. Things that you might have encountered and questions for training purposes that municipal affairs can answer. And so that the public also then hears that your direction, that you're following procedure as per municipal affairs. So it's a great reason to hold it, you know, open for everyone. Bless you, Mayor Gould. I'm not even there to spread the germs tonight.
I think that's allergies. I've read the resolution. I will call this to a vote. All those in favor? And that, I'm in favor of as well, so that is carried. The next resolution is 2024-17. This is,
Yes, we can move it.
sorry, what?
Oh, maybe is your sheet blank? My sheet has councilors' names on them already.
Just remove those and call it.
So I need a mover and a seconder. This is for the roads report, just to receive the roads report. Right, so that is Councillor Morton and Latimer. I know our roads interim road supervisor or road superintendent has prepared a written report. I thought he might be here for this presentation, but I guess he wasn't able to make it.
Only because he's out plowing the roads, by the way.
So
Yeah. Well, it's a good place for him to be today. There is just one comment in it I have on this report, and that is the sand dome. He states that the sand dome roof is starting to show its age and should be replaced soon as there are missing shingles. That's sort of a little frightening to me because it sounds like a very expensive proposition. Would we have somebody else looking into that, Madam CEO?
So the reason that we said that, you know, when Brandon and I reviewed his report, and it was a good idea to bring here so that you're not surprised when we start talking about this in budget time, during budget time. It shouldn't come as a shock when any of these things are brought forward. So this just has started to happen. And so Brandon has identified that, you know, what he has for the Sam Dome door, just to give you a little bit of a heads up that, you know, come budget discussion, that you shouldn't be surprised to hear that there. It didn't come out of nowhere. Yeah.
Any other comments on this report?
Well, no, just that, you know, when we're having that discussion, I just would be curious to see if we have any historical, you know, what the historical of the roof would be. I'm not asking right now, I'm just saying that'd be something valuable, you know, how many years we're doing this.
Yeah. And to your point, Councillor Grant, that is where, you know, we, again, if we'd had an asset management plan that identified the value, the lifespan, and true, not guesswork, but true to being in, more informed ways of identifying our asset management needs. And hence why the government of Ontario is insisting that municipalities have these, so that this sort of thing doesn't come as a shock and surprise when you hear, oh, nobody's thought about this yet, and it's now falling apart to the point where you need to replace it. So this ties right into, and I saw your hand wave there, Councillor Grant, to the importance of an asset management plan and keeping on top of that, where, as you know, we have not, in the asset management plan that you approved, that did not include an identification of the assets themselves or the lifespan. And on that note, in January 17th, I'm undergoing some training with another firm, not the one that we hired, but who has funding through the municipal Minister of Finance to assist municipalities just like ours, who might be incurring some trouble. I want to call it, maybe not trouble, but how to better manage our asset management plan. So there is some training that I'm undergoing for how on January 17th we can start to list those items, inventory our assets, and use the formulas that are in place approved by Minister of Finance and the Government of Ontario for how we estimate the lifespan of all of our assets, every single one of them, from roofs to community centers to heaters, in our buildings. So that's what's missing from our asset management plan today, is the list of those assets and the lifespan. So we'll be working on that between now and July.
All right,
Awesome, thank you.
awesome. Thank you very much. All right, so I will call resolution 2024-17 to a vote to accept this report from the road superintendent, the interim road superintendent. All those in favor? And I am as well, so that is carried. Next are the agencies, boards, and committee reports, the ABCs. We start off with the collective bargaining update. Unifor, Councillor Latimer.
I cannot give you an update. I wasn't at the last meeting. I believe you stepped in and into my spot, the spot I was holding for you while you were incapacitated.
Well, then I can simply say that we are still in the good negotiation phase with the Unifor on the collective bargaining agreement, and our CAO is in contact with a lawyer just to make sure that some of the things that we're discussing are correct. Is that fair?
Yeah, fair report in that we can't discuss the details. However, our response to the Unifor's proposal is now sitting with the lawyer, and we have responded. But before we go that final route, we have a few questions at a committee level. And Councillor Grant, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, it's just that, we're trying to move forward. We're working to move forward, and there's some things that have to be sorted out, and there's a lot of there's privacy around the agreement. So, we're looking to move forward when we can.
Great. Thank you
And on
very
the
much.
note, yeah, and on the note of privacy, we should say that, once we have ratified that agreement and staff has ratified the agreement by voting on it, it does become public. But until that time, it's negotiation, and that is the reason it can't be public at this time.
Great, thank you very much. The next report is from the North Bay Madawa Conservation Authority, and that's from Councillor Morton. But of course, your next meeting is in.
Well, we had a meeting, our last meeting was Monday.
Oh, so do you have a report on that meeting?
Well, no, well, my report is that in December, they announced that the Madawa Voyager canoe race is scheduled to take place Saturday, the 8th of June, 2024. By anybody who's interested in participating can contact somebody at North Bay and North Bay Madawa Conservation Authority. The contact person is called Paula Loranger at paula.loringer@nbmca.ca. The last time they had posted this race was in 2022, and the winners posted a time of 6 hours. So
Can
it's
we beat that? Can we beat that?
Yeah, go ahead. So it's not kind of recreational thing, but it's a good, good thing to have. They didn't have it last year because of the, whatever, the COVID problem. They're currently working on the 2024 budget. And just as us, they're working on employee relations. Next scheduled meeting is the 24th of January. And I will discuss with them the termination clause in that agreement, and they have provided a chart of what 1 and 2 and 3 are, and it's available to us for the last couple of months. It just hasn't been provided to the counters. Might be, I know it's CAO's got it, so.
It might have got lost
Here
in
somewhere.
the hundreds of
No.
pages.
Yeah, no, it was with the last package, Councillor Morton, the last agenda meeting, so we'll just recirculate that.
Have a meeting with the CAO from the conservation.
I did, but what you're asking for, the schedule 1 and 2, it was provided to council at the last council meeting, so we'll just recirculate that.
Possible, I overlooked it. But the other, just on that note, Bill, and not to, I just wonder if, it's something you could just bring up and just mention that, we might look for maybe more favorable terms, that's all. Not to make a big deal about it, but, cause they're gonna look for that stability as well, right?
Sure.
They're gonna want a term of stability, so it seems like it's quite rigid at the 4 years, that's my point.
I think they're looking at 4 years because that's what all of the, everybody does a 4-year term. And like I'm on it for 4 years, then next time, if I'm not here, somebody else could be on it.
See, I like the 4-year term. I just wonder if there's a way that you could have a, cancellation that wasn't at some point in the term.
Well, Councillor Morton will
Yeah.
discuss that.
They
Bring this forward. The next report is from the East Nipissing Planning Board. I was there. Our meeting is actually, the next meeting is tomorrow night, and at which point we will be discussing this Calvin severance package that we discussed earlier in the meeting. There has been an increased level of severance requests in Calvin from the East Nipissing Planning Board. So we are seeing some growth in these reports. And at the next meeting where we do the ABCs, I'm sure I'll have more to report from tomorrow's meeting. Councillor Grant, do you have anything to add? You're on the planning board.
I don't have much more to add.
All right.
Yeah.
Physician recruitment, unfortunately, that board only meets a few times a year. And the last meeting that they had was when I was off on medical leave, so I wasn't there. But there will be a meeting coming up in the spring, which I will report on at a later point in time. Then the next one is the Town Lake docks. Councillor Latimer, you have some information that you've provided us that is in the package, Blanchard's Landing.
Positive developments. A corporation called the Capiscon Bay Renewal Project has been authorized by the Ontario government to step forward in resolving. The scope of the project would be to resolve the ongoing silting in the area of Blanchard's Landing, Town Lake campgrounds, and Sharps Creek, and provision of a new public dock and access at Blanchard's Landing, which basically is split between Bonfield and Calvin Township. The Blanchard Landing boat access is. The renewal project is governed by a 3-person board led by Chairperson Don Paquette and 2 directors, Garth Gumo and John Kelso Sr. They will be meeting with the Conservation Authority and other involved groups, and Don Paquette, the chairperson, will be contacting the federal and provincial MPs and MPPs to determine what funding is available to undertake the work. And I understand it's a three-year project, beginning with the installation of a dock and the dredging of the dock area, and then moving into dredging around the Talon Lake campground area. And also eventually we'll look at a better control of the lake level. So it's a large project, but it's moving forward, and that's a really good thing. That's my report.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. So, just for point of clarification, we sit there in an advisory capacity, not as board members, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And if there's an upcoming meeting, I just want to remind you that if there's a budget request for 2024, that we should have it in advance of our budget deliberations so that we can plan for that. Just, as we know, these things may happen. I don't know if you can bring that forward. Yeah. If we don't plan for a request, just wanted to make note of that.
Okay, I will. I have reached out to John Kelso Senior and asked to be included in any future updates, as well as letting them know that I'm the representative for Calvin Township. So time will tell. We'll see how that unfolds, but I definitely will bring that forward if there's a request for funding.
In the report that you submitted, it seemed like most of the funds required to the new dock and the dredging were to come from grants. But
I would assume that's their first go-to. I understand there are, I think the CAO mentioned last council meeting that there are FedNor funds for tourism, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and most grants will require, Mayor Gould, that some funds be put against it, 10, 20, sometimes 30%. So that's why my comment too, we would need to know before the end of January, as we enter into budget deliberations, what if there are any requests for the fiscal year 2024, or else we won't be budgeting for them.
That's right. Thank you very much. There is one other ABC to mention. I see it over here, and that is the Police Services Board, and that is Councillor Morton.
The Police Service Board only meets 4 times a year, but there is a meeting this coming Friday because the provincial government is still in discussions on reorganizing police service boards throughout Ontario. Projected starting date, as I previously mentioned, has been discussed for the last 3 or 4 years, but they're now saying it's going to be implemented in the spring of 2024. And we are currently receiving online training on how this process will occur. The proposed change will add 2 more members to our local board, but they also talk about drastic increases in levies for the training. They want people to actually go on training courses, and if you don't go, then you're going to lose your board. Anyway, the next scheduled meeting is Friday, and we're still trying to identify and install a secretary treasurer, because almost a year ago, our previous secretary quit, and we've still been looking for one.
Madam CAO, would this information need to be brought forth by the end of January as well as part of budget?
We already have the billing for 2024 that was brought forward previously. We've already been billed for 2024.
There is a mention here, ad hoc. Oh, okay. So who is taking care of the ad hoc committee? You are?
That's the Code of Conduct Committee, right? The Ad hoc Code of Conduct Committee?
So, Councillor Grant, do you want to
I
report?
can make comment. I mean, the only comment I have is that the committee has met for some time, just due to workload, I suppose, and now we've established a date of January 12th at 2 p.m. To meet. It's also, it's a public meeting, so basically that's the update I have.
All right. Thank you very much. So that is it for the ABCs, the agencies board and committee reports. Move on to the next item in the agenda, which is the roundtable.
And just a
So,
reminder that roundtable is not where we make decisions, motions, it's just information.
right. So I have nothing for the roundtable tonight. Councillor Grant,
Nothing.
all right, Councillor Latimer,
Nothing.
and Councillor Morton. I should mention to the public that I did ask everyone to, let's keep things a little bit shorter tonight because we want our staff members and councillors to get home safely.
And audience members.
And audience members, of course.
Yeah.
Very
One
much.
little thing, I just want to put a shout out to everyone. It's real teamwork to get that ice rink outside running properly and smoothly. So between Jacob, who's, our municipal laborer, getting that rink ready, and Public Works fixing and helping with that, and then the fire department a couple of times now flooding the rink. We have a really great looking rink right now. And, we have cameras that look out at it, and we can see as staff people out there at all hours of the day, whether school's in or out, weekend and night shift, using that rink. So the washroom now too, as you know, we've closed the washrooms because of the disgusting state of affairs that they were in. And we do have a portable washroom funded as a result of our gas tax funding out there, nice and warm for everyone to enjoy, whether they're at the park or at the outdoor rinks. So just wanted to put a shout out there for team effort in getting that done. So thank you to everyone.
Listen, thank you. And you failed to mention that while everybody's sitting out there watching the people skating, they can go to the Calvin Library and grab a book and do some reading while they're sitting there. Thank you as well for getting that Calvin Library thing organized. And there are some neat books in there. I see it's starting to get used, so there's lots of facilities for our residents. So thank you for that too. All right. Then moving on, we're moving into the closed meeting session, but there are none, so we don't have to. So the next item on the agenda is the confirmatory bylaw 2024-18. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Morton and Councillor Latimer. Now therefore be it resolved that bylaw 2024-08 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council. All those in favor? And I'm in favor as well, so that is carried. And the final item here is 2024-19, which is that we call the meeting to adjournment at 7:29. At 7:29, mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Morton and Councillor Latimer. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting? And I'm in favor as well, so that motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate your time and sorry to call you out on such a nasty weather evening, but I'm sure that our roads crew have the roads all plowed and well maintained for everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.